How about this one, Levin? This is something that you and I talked about. It's the last prediction in the column, prediction 7. The Niners won't seriously consider trading Deebo Samuel, but they might do some groundwork for next offseason.
Okay. Like, how are you proven wrong on that one? That's one you can claim
Right.
you're right even if nothing happens.
That's true. That's
But I don't think that's I don't think that's bold because I think most people at this point are assuming that the Niners will at least look into what they could get for Debo. Not that they'll definitely do it, but they're quickly running out of money and they got to find it somewhere. And if Ayuk has emerged and is truly the wide receiver on this team, which is what we saw with Brock Purdy, by the way, Ayuk took off under Brock Purdy. Then at that point, you got to go, well, we want to pay Ayuk. If we pay Ayuk, we can have cheaper in this next couple of years. Whereas Debo has gotten expensive, we can trade him and afford to sign Ayuk. They will likely have to make that choice after this next season. They will have to make the choice between trading Ayuk or trading Debo.
And I know that, and this is something that you've given him a lot of credit for, and I agree. Like, he does stress the defense, just his presence, because he's so versatile and he can line up in different spots. He does do all of that, but just strictly from a production standpoint, I mean, he caught 56 passes last year for 632 yards and had 2 receiving touchdowns. Now, he also chipped in with some rushing touchdowns, we all know, but like, you know, going into last offseason, we were like, oh my God, you can't get rid of Deebo Samuel. He's so important. He was so great. He was so amazing. And this year, 1 year later, you're like, eh. So
Yeah, it's because defense is adjusted. If he's in the backfield, they're making damn sure that he can't get any daylight. I think defenses swarmed to him better than they did. I think they keyed on that, wherever Debo is, safeties be paying attention so that you can get there sooner. And, even in his big year, and I mentioned this last offseason, he only had 77 catches. So it's not like he was this high volume guy. It's just that
right.
he broke free on so many of them that he was able to get 1,400 receiving yards. That's not likely to be something that you can do consistently. Obviously, after the catch, Debo is as good as it gets in the league, but you're not going to break so many of them. And I have said I don't think Debo is that good of an actual wide receiver, just strictly wide receiver part of it. Obviously, he has a big effect, like you were saying, on everything because everybody has to key on him. But do you pay a premium for that effect?
That's the
Especially when you have somebody else that's now able to have that effect on the underneath stuff in Christian McCaffrey.
that's the big question. It's clearly there's an impact and there's an effect and it's valuable. It's absolutely valuable, but is it top of the market value when you're not also getting
Right.
the actual
I
production?
think Christian McCaffrey did nerf Debo to a certain extent. I think it's pretty easy, and I don't think anybody should be arguing to say that a good bit of the Christian McCaffrey catches would have been Debo catches if Christian McCaffrey had not been acquired.
That's
And
fair.
thus, Debo likely would have ended up with, 70, 75 catches and closer to 1,000 yards. And we wouldn't be having as big of a conversation about this because he would have had a bigger year. But Christian McCaffrey does a lot of what Debo did. A lot of those underneath are now Christian McCaffrey. You don't need to have Debo doing that. So Debo's value is nerfed to a certain degree.
Plus, you can have Debo blocking for Christian McCaffrey, which is not a bad thing. I do think that that's sort of an under the radar storyline for next year. How does Kyle Shanahan evolve in his usage of all these parts now, right? Because he was sort of changing the tire on a moving car during the year. They acquired McCaffrey. He kind of had to figure it out, right?
A
And he
moving car
did,
that was changing, yeah,
and it was
changing
changing
drivers.
drivers too,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
drivers and tires. But now he's got the whole offseason to tinker, basically, and I'm sure he's going to. So that'll be a fascinating thing to see how it evolves, especially if Trey Lance is there. That's the thing. If Lance is there, then you talk about stress on a defense between Lance and McCaffrey and Deebo and Kittle. You could put any of those people and Juice. You could put any of them in the backfield. You could put any of them out wide. You could do anything with any of them. And now you have to also worry about Trey Lance as a runner. That would be an evolution of this offense. And I just want to see it so bad.
Yeah, I do want to see it. But if Trey Lance pans out And everything you're saying is true, but everything you just said, there are a lot of shorter underneath. Like, who's stretching the field at that point? That would become the question. Hey, who can stretch this defense out and stop them from cheating down? That's why Ayuk is so valuable. That's what he does. He stretches the field. And we saw when you get a quarterback who isn't scared to throw it more than 10 yards, even though he doesn't, I would say Brock Purdy didn't have any stronger of an arm than Jimmy Garoppolo does. Brock Purdy allowed Ayuk to show what he is. He is a ridiculously good route runner who, if you throw with anticipation, will be open a lot.